Alright, so this is more about fake money, and, money's the root of all evil. Well, the love of money is the root of all evil, but money and the love of it are pretty much interchangeable, the way people act. And I don't know how or when this system was constructed because, as you all should know, history is always being rewritten, there's always a fake backstory, and we could probably talk about that some other time, but I wouldn't know where to begin. I just know history is a lie, but I don't know the true history other than the very big things like the flood ruins, but fake money might not be the most interesting and fascinating topic, but it's extremely important and very impactful, and people need to know more about it. People need to be more critically thinking about it. So here's a really excellent example about fake money. It's said by somebody else. When someone can write up as much fake money as they want, they can come in and completely dominate an industry and undercut everyone to such extreme margins to make startups almost impossible, and eventually the small-time places will fall under. Bread used to be made locally, small-scale, by artisans who dedicated their lives to the craft. Different regions developed their own specialties. Compare that to Conglommo Corp stainless steel vats holding thousands of tons, mixing hooks big enough to mangle a full-sized man if they were to fall in. Fake bread is full of preservatives to transport the million units factory bread long distances. Anyways, the economy of it is, with insanely huge startup money, you can come in and dominate an industry as long as you can guarantee consistent product at immense volume. You can focus on minimizing cost and taking a really, really low profit per item, and just bank on selling massive units because you can guarantee to be way cheaper than anything else. Companies that buy tons of flour, for instance, can get cutbacks and get even cheaper flour than some other guys who aren't buying so much. You can then briefly mention vertical monopolies, how you eventually find out that most companies are part of the same crazy huge umbrella corp with a satanic-sounding name and cryptic dystopian slogan. Bread industry isn't enough. They'll start buying up the mills and expanding. Mom and pop real artisans keep it in their family and just want to live their life. They aren't obsessed with expanding. Conglomocorps are like a parasite obsessed with expanding. So, bread was the example given, but there's so many more examples like textiles, fabrics, shoes, just material, clothing, cars, tools. I don't know a whole lot about the clothing and textile industries, but there are countries that were a lot of what we're told on the news is fake, obviously, and Africa is smeared a lot. I haven't gone to Africa, but I've met African people. I didn't get to know them very well, but they're pretty much the same as anybody else, and all that implies, because you know how most people are. But I've heard that Africans receive a lot of secondhand clothes from America, and they resell them at their stores over there, and the sheer flooding of secondhand garments from America has really threatened African clothing industries. And another food-related example is factory farms and farmers, and yeah, you could really look into that. I don't know who set up a system and how they pulled it off, that they were able to generate fake money that people accepted. Well, I've heard that a long time ago. There would be these companies that, they were American, part of American history and maybe true history, where people lived at their job site. They didn't go to their actual home. They just lived in these camps with other workers, and they had factory store money that was not legal tender, and it was only good for the company. And that just sounds like straight up slavery. And the word wage slave really applies to a lot of people in the so-called first world. We don't have freedom. America's founded on lies. Our history is a lie, like all of it. I'm not talking about Christopher Columbus killed everybody, he's a monster. Christopher Columbus didn't exist, and why is he the only historical figure with a locally regionalized name? How come Hitler doesn't have a localized name? How come Mussolini doesn't have a localized name? How come Stalin doesn't have a localized name? It's only Christopher Columbus. Or Christoph Colon or something. Like, why did they change his name? Is it like some movie that got dubbed for a foreign audience? Pretty much, I'm sure. History's basically a movie, and anything on a screen is fake, and anything you see on TV, even if it's like news or an advertisement or an infomercial or some kiddie show, it's all the same. It's all audio-video. It's all pushing a message of some sort. Usually the message is buy our products. And anything in a book, well, fundamentally it's all text printed on paper, isn't it? It's all the same. historical fiction and so-called nonfiction history books, they're all the same. There's like weird hidden truths in Harry Potter and 1984. Like, these are supposedly fiction, but there's some real nuggets of truth in them. And the books that we had to read in history class are the school textbooks, which are a huge scam. That's about as real as the Berenstain Bears. And it looks like the people that get paid the most do the least amount of work, and they certainly don't do anything of value. Again, actors used to be regarded as being lower than prostitutes, and prostitutes don't even do anything good. It's better to have an anime body pillow than to pay someone a lot of money to spread disease. And so actors are lower than that, pretty much. They don't even do anything that makes a person happy. A person that pays for a prostitute would at least, feel human contact, even if it's not loving and it's filthy. At least there's a human physically present. But you can't say the same about watching an actor on a stage or on a screen. And politicians, they're actors too, like Ronald Reagan, Arnold Schwarzenegger, Donald Trump, but, all famous people are actors. And on the local small-time level, used cars salesmen, they're kind of actors too, aren't they? They're telling you that the used car is awesome when it's not. So there's just these shady, fake people all over the place in real life. I'm not going to waste my time talking about famous people because I only focus on daily, personal life stuff that if you just go outside, you'll see it. Anybody can do a transvestigation of a celebrity or a politician, but you're not going to meet those people. So maybe only pointing out famous people is a good example of teaching human anatomy and hand signs and, the clothing that they wear and the strange things that they say. But you should be, just taking what you've learned from that and applying it to your day-to-day life. And what a lot of people don't want to admit is that commoners and poor people will try and imitate rich people. So people will say that the elites are inverted, but commoners have always imitated the elites. I'm sure you've heard about so-called, and probably real, practices of cultures shaping the heads of infants using boards. They would shape an infant's head so that they would resemble a Nephilim giant. Obviously, a person that grows up to be 5.5 feet tall is not going to look like a giant because, another thing was the giants also had 6 fingers and 6 toes. And you can't really imitate that without putting on a fake finger, but see, it's an example. They have nothing to gain from trying to make their children have a passing resemblance to a giant. Because, they're probably causing brain damage too. And another thing is, these giants, they built huge machines, okay? They were smart. I don't know why giants are portrayed as fee-fi-fo-fum idiots, but I don't really understand those giant stories, but you'll notice that the giant is usually portrayed as an idiot. They're usually portrayed as wanting to eat humans. And usually the story ends with a giant being turned into a mountain or a rock. So that's something to think about. But what I'm saying here is commoners imitate the elite for no personal gain. It hurts them. A lot of people will go tens of thousands of dollars into debt trying to get fancy stuff because they want to give the impression that they are like the celebrities. And the celebrities probably are not even that rich. I don't know. I've never met them, and I don't care. My point is, commoners imitate the elite. And I can't stress that enough. So I'm going to talk about fake money more in the future because it's important to talk about. And I'm just going to say some more things on my mind in the next few talks.